So the author says, Asl, original text. So what are we talking about now? The broad topic is ma'arif, definite words. That's going to be an ism. A noun is going to be a definite word. Verbs are indefinite as a rule. Verbs are indefinite because they need a fa'il. They have to go with an ism. So we talked about ad-dama'ir, pronouns. Then we talked about al-a'lam, proper nouns, which are names, monikers, etc. Then we talked about ismul ishara. That's an idafa, by the way. Ismul isharati, demonstrative noun or nominal. Demonstrative here meaning pointing. Demonstrative in English come from demonstrate. So as if they mean pointing. And now we want to talk about al-ismul MawSool, which is not an idafa. You say al-ismul MawSool. That's sifa and mawsuf. Yani sifa, the adjective, the attribute. Sifa, the description. And this is mawsuf, what's described. As-sifatu wal-mawsuf. So you say the red book. Al-kitab al-ahmar. That's sifa wa mawsuf. So take note of that. You have idafa. That's not sifa wa mawsuf. Here, ismul ishara. That's idafa. Ismul isharati. It's like one word. It's a compound. So ismul ishara, that's idafa. Al-ismul mawsool. So don't forget to put al on the front here. Don't say ismul mawsool. We're talking about al-ismul mawsool now, which they call relative. They say relative pronoun. Also, we're not going to call this a pronoun. Good question was asked last week. Why is ism ishara not a pronoun? I asked that question actually when I was in Lebanon. So I think what makes this clearest is to limit things to their definitions in particular. And we're talking about definitions of the naHw here, the Arabic grammarians. And English grammarians have their own definitions. And those definitions don't all the time mean the same thing. Damir, pronoun. Ismun yadullu ala mutakallimin aw mukhatabin aw ghaib. It's a name for a speaker. Basically, the speaker's name is I. It's ana, if he's the doer. The speaker's name is iyaya, me, if he's receiver. It's the name of the speaker and the name of the addressee. The addressee's name is enta or enti, etc. You. Who are you speaking to? You. And or it deals, it indicates, it refers to, it names a ghaib, someone absent. That means absent from the conversation. That's damir. So don't say, yani, the naHw didn't say. Damir replaces something. So if you go that way, then you're going to mix things. They said damir has marji', an antecedent. But they didn't say replace though. They said refers back to. Ism al-ishara is the name of what you're pointing at. So that's different also. That means something different. The name of what you're pointing at, that means something different than the name of the speaker or the name of whom you're talking about. But could it be that the one you're talking about is who you're pointing at? Could be. But those are going to be two different meanings, two different names. And al-ismul mawsool is also not a pronoun. Al-ismul mawsool is a noun that requires a sentence. containing a pronoun that goes back to it. Al-ismul mawsul is an ism that requires a sentence for completing its meaning. It's similar to a harf. It resembles a harf in that it doesn't have an independent meaning. You don't say ja'a alladhi, the one who came, and then you stop there. So it needs a sentence to go along with it to complete its meaning. Having a pronoun, this sentence has a pronoun that goes back to the noun itself. So that's the wasl. That's why it's called al-ismul mawsul. It's like a circle. A noun followed by a sentence containing a pronoun that goes back to that noun. ثم الموصول. Then there's relative noun. وهو الذي والتي واللذان واللتان بالألف رفعا وبالياء جرا ونصبا. It is الذي, he who, or the one who. I like he who. Allati, she who, because it needs a sentence. That's why I'm putting it that way. You say he who did the dishes, for example. But you still need, that in itself still doesn't even complete the sentence. He who did the dishes, what? So there should be something goes back to it. Allati, she who. Alladhani, those two who. Masculine. And allatani, those two who. Feminine. Bil alifi raf'an wa bil ya'i jarran wa nasba. With an alif if it's in the state of rafa', and with a ya if it's in the states of jar or nasb. That's clear, yani. Alladhaini, allataini. Alladhani, allatani. Subjective. Alladhaini, allataini. Accusative or genitive. وَلِجَمْعِ الْمُذَكَّرِ الَّذِينَ بِالْيَاءِ مُطْلَقًا. And for the masculine plural, there is alladhina with a ya, absolutely, not changing. Stuck like that. That's mabni. So, rafa, nasb, or jar, you're going to say alladhina. You're going to write it with one lam. Wal-ula. And also you could say al-ula. And that al you see on these words, that's not the al you might think it is. Rather, that's part of the word. وَلِجَمْعِ الْمُؤَنَّثِ اللَّائِي وَاللَّاتِي. And for feminine plural, there's allai, those who, females, and allati, those who, also. وَبِمَعْنَى الْجَمِيعِ. And with the meaning of all of those, meaning singular, dual, plural, masculine, or feminine, 5 meanings there. We just saw words for these meanings. 1 masculine, 1 feminine, 2 masculine, 2 feminine, 3 or more masculine, 3 or more feminine. Now he says, وَبِمَعْنَى الْجَمِيعِ. And what has the meaning of all of that? That means mushtarak. It's encompassing. Men, who? Yani he who. So men could mean alladhi, or could mean allati, or it might mean alladhina. Wama, and what? Wa ay, fashadda, ayyun, which? Wa al and the في وصف صريح لغير تفضيل sorry في وصف صريح لغير تفضيل. And here al, I said the. I'm not going to find, I don't think, another way to translate that. Yani, because the, or the, that's your definitive particle. Yes, that's your definitive particle, al, the. But here, it's not the same one. This here is actually a noun, al, but it's going to translate as the or the. When would al be a noun? في وصف صريح لغير تفضيل. In an explicit adjective that's not a superlative. And an explicit non-superlative adjective. You know, superlative is better, best, good, better, best. Hasan, ahsan. Like what? Kaldarib. Like al-darib. You're reading along with me here. I wasn't putting harakats on things. Kaldarib, like al-darib. Which means the hitter, the hitter. Wal madroob, and the struck. So al-darib, the striker. Wal madroob, and the struck. Now you might say, huh? I don't get it. How is that different? I'll come back to it in a minute, inshallah. وَذُو فِي لُغَةِ طَيِّ, and thu in the dialect of طَيِّ. So lugha, sometimes we're going to translate that as language. Sometimes we're going to translate it as dialect. And sometimes I would translate it as variant. وَذَا, and also that. So thu, he's going to explain. And that بعد ما أو من الاستفهاميتين, or that. This is not that, which is ism ishara. That after ma, ماذا, or after men ذا. It's an ayatul kursi. من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه. ماذا, what, or what is that? من ذا, who, or who's that? That's a question. Ma or man al-istifhamiyatain, the ones that are for asking. The interrogative ones. Okay. He says, wasilatu alil wasuf. And let's say for now, the connecting or the connector to al is the adjective. Wasilatu ghayriha, and the connector for any of the other ones. When I say connector, because we said these nouns need a sentence to come after them. That's the connector. It's like they introduce something or they just leave something wide open. So you need a sentence to come and fill it in. So that sentence is called sila. I'm going to call it for now connector. maybe I'll think of something better. This sila, this connector, it needs to have a pronoun in it that goes back to the noun, which he's going to explain right here. وصلة غيرها إما جملة خبرية ذات ضمير مطابق للموصول يسمى عائدا وقد يحذف. He says the connector of any of the other ones, other than al, would either be a declarative sentence, containing a pronoun. So, imma jumlatun khabariyah. It's either a declarative sentence, dhatu damir, containing a pronoun, mutabiqi lil mawsool. This pronoun is equivalent to or compliant with the relative noun itself, because it has to go back to it. Yusamma aida. That pronoun would be called a returner. وقد يحذف, and it could even be omitted, that pronoun. So then you just say there's taqdir. It will be clear for you, inshallah. When the pronoun's not there, if you have an ism mawsool and then you have sentence and there's no pronoun there, then inshallah will still be clear for you. It's just going to be the case that the pronoun was mahdhuf, omitted, and you're just going to do your taqdir. Arabic language is full of taqdir. So you need to be able to swim a little bit. Now he's going to give some examples, but I'm going to hold off on this example here, just so that I can quickly explain for you. Al, that's a noun? How's that? Sifatun sariha, that means literally explicit adjective. I need to review what that means exactly, so maybe it's going to come inshallah ta'ala. But that's how you could translate that. Explicit adjective. And then he gave you two examples. He gave you the example of the doer's adjective, fa'il. So he said darib, the doer, striker. And he gave you the example of the receiver's adjective, madroob, struck. Okay, so one would say, okay, so I say rajul, man, al-rajul, the man, darib, striker, al-darib, the striker. Where's the difference here? The difference is that really these adjectives, they have pronouns built into them. They say, this is the answer. This is clear answer here. الصفة الصريحة في تأويل الفعل. الصفة الصريحة في تأويل الفعل. That means this type of adjective is interpreted as a verb. This type of adjective is interpreted as a verb. So which verb it's going to be? If we say it's interpreted as a verb, then which verb? There's three types of verbs, right? Madi, mudari, and amr. Does anyone know which one of these go to? Madi, mudari, or amr? It's mudari. Because saying striker, not was striker, he's saying he's striker. Huwa darib. So means al-an. He might not really be, we're just talking language here. Originally, if he's darib, that means he has the attribute. So darib means alladhi yadrib. So darib is fi ta'wili yadrib. And that's why their harakats match. Darib, yadrib. See how those harakat match there? So It doesn't have to be the same haraka on the ra though. Just that there is a haraka. It doesn't have to be the same haraka on the letter that's next to last. It just has to be a haraka there. And then they're going to match. Their harakat will match. Yani, like you say, fataha yaftahu, yaftahu, yaftahu. So what do you call someone who does that? Fatih. Haraka. This is so close together. Hold on. Let me do that again for you. Yaftah. That's someone opening. He opens. Mudari form. So someone who does that, he's called Fatih. And he has same harakats, meaning haraka, sukun, haraka. Just like the verb. Haraka, sukun, haraka. So they're the same in meaning, except the adjective has the meaning of the one who does it, or the one who has the attribute. And the verb means the act in the time in which it was done. The verb is the act in time. The adjective is the act with who has its attribute of doing it or receiving it. For example, the doer is active voice. The receiver is passive voice. Oh, not there. Here. Al-darib, that's taken from the active voice. Al-madrub is taken from the passive voice. So al-darib means alladhi yadrib. Al-madrub means alladhi yudrab. So we're saying all that to say what? Al means alladhi. Here. Is that clear, inshallah? So he gives some examples. He says, naHw ayyuhum ashad. Like here, ayyuhum ashad. So a, which, that's the relative nominal. Ayyuhum ashad. Ayyuhum huwa ashad. That's what he's saying. Wama amilat aydihim. Also, وَمَا عَمِلَتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ. مَا, يعني, الَّذِي, that which, عَمِلَتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ, their hands have done. يعني, عَمِلَتْهُ أَيْدِيهِمْ. So you're going to see where the pronoun would be. عَمِلَتْهُ, مَا عَمِلَتْهُ أَيْدِيهِمْ, but you could take the pronoun off. وَمَا عَمِلَتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ فَقُضْ مَا أَنْتَ قَاضٍ. So do what you are قاضٍ, يعني قاضيه. What you're going to do, it. Do what you're going to do, it. Yani, do that which you're going to do, it. Take off it. Do that which you're going to do. وَيَشْرَبُ مِمَّا تَشْرَبُونَ. مِمَّا تَشْرَبُونَ مِنْهُ. أو ظرف أو جار ومجرور تامان متعلقان باستقر محذوفا. I'm not going to translate that. When we come to that, then I'll explain that for you. That's important. I can't start there now and then stop the lesson like I want to. So we'll stop there. Do you have any other question, inshallah?